Friendship changes as we grow older. When we're young, friendships often form easily. We see each other every day. We share classrooms, neighborhoods, hobbies, routines. But adulthood looks different. Schedules fill up, responsibilities grow. Careers, families, obligations, they all compete for time. And slowly, without anyone intending it, friendships can drift, not because people stop caring, but because maintaining connection takes more intention than it once did. Strong adult friendships don't survive by accident. They survive because of habits, simple habits, consistent habits. Habits that create trust, respect, and connection over time. Let's talk about 3 habits that strong adult friendships almost always share. They communicate honestly, not perfectly. Many friendships weaken because people start avoiding honest conversations. Something small happens. A misunderstanding, a comment that felt dismissive, a moment where someone felt ignored. But instead of talking about it, people stay silent. They tell themselves it's not a big deal, and maybe once it isn't. But silence has a way of collecting small frustrations. And over time, those small frustrations become distance. Strong friendships don't require perfect communication, but they do require honest communication. That means being able to say things like, "I felt a little hurt when that happened," or "I think we misunderstood each other. Notice something important." Those statements are calm. They are direct. And they focus on understanding, not blaming. Strong friends don't pretend problems don't exist. They address them before they grow larger. Because honesty, when delivered with respect, protects the friendship. Silence may feel easier in the moment, but honesty builds stronger connections over time. They show up consistently. Adult life is busy. People move to new cities, work schedules change, families grow. And sometimes weeks or even months pass without seeing certain friends. But strong friendships don't depend on constant interaction. They depend on consistent presence. Consistent doesn't mean daily. It means reliable. It means checking and sending a message, making time to meet when schedules allow, remembering important moments in each other's lives. Consistency communicates something powerful. You matter enough for me to stay connected. And here's the important part. Consistency doesn't need to be dramatic. It's rarely grand gestures that sustain friendships. It's the small, steady actions. A message that says, "I was thinking about you." A quick call to check in. Showing up when it really matters. Those simple moments create the foundation of long-lasting friendships. Because strong friendships are not measured by how often people talk. They are measured by whether people continue showing up. They respect each other's boundaries. One of the biggest differences between childhood friendships and adult friendships is space. Adults carry responsibilities, careers, relationships, personal challenges. Everyone has seasons where their time and energy are limited. Strong friendships understand this. They don't demand constant attention. They respect boundaries. A healthy friend doesn't interpret space as rejection. They understand that life sometimes requires focus elsewhere. This respect creates something incredibly valuable: trust. When friends respect each other's boundaries, the relationship feels safe. There's no pressure to perform, no guilt for being busy, no resentment for needing time alone. Instead, the friendship becomes a place where both people can return without fear of judgment. And that kind of space allows friendships to last for decades. Because people know the connection doesn't disappear just because life gets complicated. Strong adult friendships are not built on constant communication. They are built on consistent character. Honesty when conversations are uncomfortable. Reliability when life gets busy. Respect when personal boundaries appear. These habits may seem simple, but when practiced consistently, they create something rare. Friendships that survive distance. Friendships that survive time. Friendships that survive change. Because in adulthood, the strongest friendships are not the ones that happen easily. They are the ones people choose to keep investing in. Strong friendships are built on trust, and trust depends heavily on honesty. Many people assume that maintaining a friendship means avoiding uncomfortable conversations in order to keep things peaceful. It can feel easier to stay silent about something that bothered you or to ignore a misunderstanding rather than risk creating tension. In the short term, silence can make interactions feel smoother, but over time, avoiding honesty often creates distance instead of closeness. Real friendships are strengthened when people value truth and clarity more than temporary comfort. Honesty in friendship does not mean being harsh or careless with words. It means communicating openly while still respecting the other person. Strong friends understand that difficult conversations are sometimes necessary for the relationship to grow. When something feels off or when a misunderstanding happens, addressing it calmly helps prevent small issues from turning into larger problems. Clear communication allows both people to understand each other's perspective rather than letting assumptions quietly build in the background. Many friendships weaken because people begin to avoid speaking about what they truly feel. A small comment may hurt someone's feelings, but they choose not to mention it. They might worry that bringing it up will make the situation awkward or create conflict. At first, this decision may seem reasonable. After all, not every issue needs to be discussed immediately. However, when silence becomes a habit, unresolved emotions begin to accumulate. Over time, those hidden frustrations can slowly change the tone of the friendship. Honesty prevents that buildup from happening. When friends are able to say what they mean in a calm and respectful way, misunderstandings are addressed before they grow into resentment. A simple explanation can often resolve situations that might otherwise linger in someone's mind. The act of speaking openly also shows respect for the friendship itself. It signals that the relationship is important enough to handle truth rather than relying on avoidance. Clear communication also creates a sense of safety between friends. When people know they can express their thoughts without being dismissed or judged, the relationship becomes stronger. They do not have to guess how the other person feels or wonder whether something is being hidden. Instead, both individuals develop confidence that honesty will be met with understanding rather than hostility. This type of openness allows friendships to remain stable even when challenges arise. Difficult conversations are often uncomfortable because they involve vulnerability. Admitting that something bothered you requires honesty not only with the other person, but also with yourself. It means acknowledging your own emotions and trusting that the friendship can handle that level of openness. Strong friendships make room for this vulnerability. They allow people to speak honestly without fearing that the relationship will collapse because of one difficult discussion. Choosing honesty over comfort also prevents the habit of passive communication. When people avoid direct conversations, they may begin expressing frustration directly through tone, sarcasm, or distance. The other person may sense that something is wrong but may not understand what caused it. This uncertainty can create confusion and weaken the connection between friends. Honest communication removes that ambiguity by making intentions and feelings clear. Another important aspect of honest friendship is the willingness to listen. Clear communication is not only about expressing your own thoughts, but also about understanding the other person's perspective. When friends speak openly, they create an opportunity for both sides to explain their experiences. This exchange of viewpoints helps prevent misinterpretations and strengthens mutual respect. Listening carefully demonstrates that the relationship is valued enough to consider each person's feelings and ideas. Honesty also reinforces accountability within friendships. When people communicate clearly, they are able to acknowledge mistakes and take responsibility when necessary. This willingness to admit fault strengthens trust because it shows that the relationship is more important than protecting one's ego. Friends who value honesty understand that everyone occasionally says the wrong thing or misunderstands a situation. Addressing those moments openly allows the friendship to move forward without lingering tension. Over time, this pattern of honest communication creates a foundation of reliability. Each person learns that the other will speak directly rather than allowing problems to grow in silence. This reliability reduces unnecessary anxiety because both individuals trust that important concerns will be discussed rather than hidden. As a result, the friendship becomes more stable and resilient. Valuing honesty over comfort does not eliminate difficult moments, but it changes how those moments are handled. Instead of allowing discomfort to create distance, honest communication turns those situations into opportunities for understanding. The willingness to speak clearly, listen carefully, and address concerns directly keeps the relationship grounded in respect and trust. As people move into adulthood, the rhythm of friendships begins to change. In earlier stages of life, friendships often grow naturally because people spend large amounts of time in the same places. School schedules, shared classes, neighborhoods, and daily routines make interaction easy and frequent. Friends see each other almost every day without having to plan for it. Because of that environment, it can feel as though constant contact is what keeps a friendship strong. But adulthood introduces a very different pace of life, and the way friendships survive begins to shift. Responsibilities increase as people grow older. Careers demand attention, families require time, and personal goals begin to shape daily routines. Schedules that once aligned easily start to move in different directions. Friends may live in different cities, work different hours, or manage completely different lifestyles. In this environment, daily communication becomes difficult to maintain. If someone believes that strong friendships require constant interaction, they may start to feel as though the relationship is fading whenever time passes without contact. What truly sustains adult friendships is not how often people communicate, but how reliable they are when they do. Reliability creates a sense of stability that constant contact alone cannot guarantee. A friend who checks in consistently, even if it happens every few weeks or months, shows that the connection still matters. The interaction may not happen every day, but when it does happen, it carries intention and care. That sense of dependable presence becomes more valuable than frequent but shallow communication. Consistency also builds trust over time. When a friend repeatedly follows through on their words and actions, it sends a clear message about the strength of the relationship. If they say they will call, they make the call. If they promise to meet, they show up. If they know something important is happening in your life, they reach out to acknowledge it. These actions may seem small, but together they create a pattern of reliability that reinforces the friendship. Adult friendships often rely on these steady patterns because life rarely allows for constant attention. People may go through busy periods where communication becomes limited for a while. Work deadlines, family responsibilities, and personal challenges can temporarily reduce the time available for social interaction. When friendships are built on consistency rather than constant contact, these gaps do not automatically threaten the connection. Both people understand that distance in time does not mean distance in care. Another reason consistency is so important is that it reflects intentional effort. In adulthood, maintaining friendships requires conscious choices rather than automatic routines. When someone takes the time to send a message, schedule a visit, or check in during an important moment, it shows that the friendship is still a priority. These actions may not occur every day, but they demonstrate that the connection remains meaningful despite the busyness of life. Consistent communication also strengthens emotional support within friendships. When someone regularly shows up during significant moments, both positive and difficult, it creates a dependable support system. A friend who remembers birthdays, celebrates achievements, or reaches out during challenging times contributes to a sense of reliability that deepens the relationship. These moments of presence often matter more than everyday conversation because they occur when emotional support is most needed. In many cases, adult friendships become more flexible because of this understanding. Instead of expecting constant updates about each other's lives, friends focus on staying connected in ways that fit their schedules. Conversations may happen less frequently, but they often become more meaningful. When people finally catch up after time apart, they share experiences and reflections that might not have emerged during quick, daily exchanges. Consistency also helps prevent misunderstandings that can arise from long periods of silence. When communication disappears completely, people may begin to question whether the friendship still holds importance. Regular check-ins, even brief ones, reassure both individuals that the relationship continues to matter. A simple message expressing an interest in how the other person is doing can reinforce that sense of connection. Over time, reliable actions build a foundation that allows friendships to endure change. Life circumstances may shift repeatedly, careers evolve, families grow, people relocate, but the pattern of consistency remains. Friends know they can count on each other even when daily interaction is impossible. This stability gives the relationship a sense of permanence that does not depend on constant communication. Understanding this difference between constant contact and consistent presence changes how people view adult friendships. Instead of measuring closeness by how often they talk, they begin to recognize the value of reliability and follow through. The friendship becomes defined by trust and dependability rather than frequency of interaction. Through steady effort and genuine intention, consistency keeps the connection alive even when life moves in many different directions. Respect for boundaries is one of the most important qualities in strong adult friendships. As people grow older, life becomes more complex. Work responsibilities increase, family commitments expand, and personal priorities shift over time. Because of these changes, individuals naturally need space to manage different parts of their lives. Healthy friendships understand this reality and allow that space without creating guilt, pressure, or misunderstanding. Boundaries are not barriers meant to push people away. They are guidelines that help protect personal time, energy, and emotional well-being. When friends respect these limits, the relationship becomes more balanced and sustainable. Each person feels comfortable maintaining their individual responsibilities while still valuing the friendship. Instead of expecting constant availability, they recognize that everyone's schedule and emotional capacity will vary from time to time. In friendships that lack respect for boundaries, pressure often begins to build quietly. One person may expect immediate responses to messages or frequent interaction regardless of the other person's circumstances. When those expectations are not met, disappointment or frustration can appear. The friendship slowly begins to feel demanding rather than supportive. Over time, this pressure can create tension that weakens the connection. Healthy friendships take a different approach. They recognize that needing time alone or focusing on other priorities is not a rejection of the relationship. Space becomes something natural rather than something suspicious. When a friend is busy with work, family, or personal challenges, the other person does not interpret that distance as a lack of care. Instead, they understand that life sometimes requires attention in different areas. Respecting boundaries also shows a deeper level of emotional maturity. It reflects the understanding that every individual has limits on how much time and energy they can give at any moment. By acknowledging those limits, friends allow each other to function without unnecessary stress. The friendship remains supportive because neither person feels obligated to sacrifice their well-being to maintain the relationship. Another important aspect of boundaries is emotional space. People sometimes go through periods where they need time to process personal challenges. During these moments, constant conversation or pressure to explain everything immediately can feel overwhelming. Friends who respect emotional boundaries allow that process to happen naturally. They offer support without demanding instant openness or explanations. When boundaries are respected, trust naturally begins to grow. Each person feels confident that their needs will be acknowledged rather than ignored. This sense of security makes the friendship feel safe and stable. People are more willing to share their thoughts and experiences because they know the relationship does not require them to abandon their personal limits. Respect for boundaries also prevents resentment from developing over time. When someone consistently feels pressure to respond, meet, or engage beyond their comfort level, frustration can quietly accumulate. That frustration may not appear immediately, but it often surfaces later in the form of distance or withdrawal. By allowing space when it is needed, friendships avoid this buildup of tension and maintain a healthier balance. Strong friendships also understand that boundaries may change as life evolves. A person's availability during one stage of life may look very different in another. Career changes, family responsibilities, or personal goals can alter how much time someone can give to social relationships. Friends who respect boundaries adapt to these changes rather than expecting the relationship to remain exactly the same. This flexibility strengthens the long-term stability of the friendship. Instead of feeling fragile when circumstances shift, the connection remains steady because both people accept that life moves in different seasons. The friendship becomes something that can adjust without losing its core sense of care and respect. Allowing space without guilt or pressure also creates a healthier emotional atmosphere. Friends can reconnect after time apart without feeling that they must explain every moment of absence. Conversations feel natural rather than defensive. Each interaction becomes something chosen freely rather than something driven by obligation. Over time, this pattern of mutual respect deepens the sense of trust between friends. They know that the relationship does not depend on constant attention or strict expectations. Instead, it rests on understanding and patience. The freedom to manage personal responsibilities while maintaining the connection allows the friendship to grow in a way that feels supportive rather than restrictive. Friendship is meant to be a place of encouragement, not quiet rivalry. Yet as people grow older, subtle forms of comparison can begin to appear in relationships. Careers develop at different speeds, financial situations change, personal goals evolve, and life milestones rarely happen at the same time for everyone. When comparison quietly replaces support, friendships can begin to feel tense rather than uplifting. Strong adult friendships move in the opposite direction. They replace silent competition with genuine support for each other's growth and progress. Comparison often begins in small ways. One friend may notice another achieving something important, earning a promotion, starting a successful project, building a stable family life, or reaching a personal milestone. These moments can naturally cause reflection about one's own progress. Reflection itself is not harmful, but when it turns into quiet competition, it changes the emotional tone of the relationship. Instead of feeling proud or excited for a friend, someone might begin measuring their own life against that achievement. This silent comparison can slowly create distance. When a person feels like they are being measured against their friend's progress, conversations may become cautious. Instead of sharing success openly, they may hesitate because they worry it might create tension or jealousy. At the same time, the friend who is making comparisons may start interpreting ordinary updates as signs of competition. The friendship begins to carry an invisible pressure that was never meant to exist. Strong friendships take a different path. They focus on mutual support rather than comparison. When one person succeeds, the other celebrates the achievement without feeling threatened by it. The success of a friend becomes something to appreciate rather than something to compete against. This attitude creates a powerful sense of unity. Instead of standing on opposite sides of an invisible race, both people stand on the same side, encouraging each other forward. Genuine support requires emotional maturity because it involves recognizing that each person's journey is unique. Life does not follow identical timelines for everyone. Some people reach career milestones early, while others discover their path later. Some friendships witness one person facing challenges while the other experiences stability. Understanding that these differences are natural helps remove the pressure to compare outcomes. Mutual encouragement strengthens the friendship because it builds trust and openness. When people know their achievements will be met with sincere excitement rather than subtle judgment, they feel comfortable sharing their progress. Celebrating each other's successes becomes a way of reinforcing the bond between friends. Every positive moment becomes something that both individuals can enjoy rather than something that divides them. Support in friendship appears during difficult moments. When someone faces setbacks or uncertainty, a strong friend does not use those moments to feel superior or more successful. Instead, they offer encouragement and understanding. This type of support shows that the friendship is not based on status or comparison, but on genuine care for each other's well-being. Another benefit of mutual support is that it allows both individuals to grow without fear of losing the relationship. Sometimes people hesitate to pursue new opportunities or share ambitious goals because they worry that their success might create tension among friends. In a supportive friendship, those fears disappear. Both people understand that personal growth strengthens the relationship rather than threatening it. Celebrating progress also creates a positive emotional environment within the friendship. When friends consistently encourage each other, the relationship becomes a source of motivation. Each person feels inspired by the other's efforts rather than discouraged by them. This supportive atmosphere can make challenges easier to face because both individuals know they have someone who believes in their potential. Over time, mutual support replaces the instinct to measure or compare achievements. Instead of focusing on who has accomplished more, strong friends focus on the fact that progress is happening at all. They recognize that every step forward, no matter how small, deserves acknowledgement. This mindset allows the friendship to remain healthy and encouraging even when life paths begin to look very different. When comparison fades and encouragement takes its place, the friendship becomes a place where both people can succeed without hesitation. Achievements are celebrated openly, challenges are faced together, and personal growth is viewed as something that benefits everyone involved. The connection remains strong because it is built on shared support rather than silent competition. Friendships in adulthood rarely survive on convenience alone. In earlier stages of life, relationships often grow naturally because people share the same environment every day. School, neighborhoods, and daily routines create constant opportunities to interact. Friends see each other frequently without needing to plan it. As life moves forward, however, those automatic moments begin to disappear. Work schedules, family commitments, personal goals, and changing locations reshape how people spend their time. Because of these changes, friendships no longer continue on their own. They require intentional effort from both people involved. Intentional effort means making a conscious decision to stay connected. It involves recognizing that friendships are valuable enough to deserve time and attention even when life becomes busy. Without this awareness, weeks can easily turn into months without meaningful contact. Not because people stop caring, but because responsibilities quietly fill the space where friendships once fit naturally. Intentional effort prevents that gradual drift by reminding both individuals that maintaining the connection requires action. This effort often appears in simple ways rather than dramatic gestures. A message asking how someone is doing, a quick phone call during a quiet moment, or a planned visit when schedules align can keep the relationship active. These actions may seem small, but they carry a deeper meaning. They show that the friendship is not something remembered only when it is convenient. Instead, it remains a priority even when time is limited. Planning also becomes an important part of adult friendships. Unlike earlier years when meetings happen spontaneously, adults often need to coordinate their schedules carefully. Making plans to meet for coffee, share a meal, or spend time catching up requires effort from both sides. This planning may involve adjusting busy calendars or setting aside time that could easily be used for other responsibilities. When both friends are willing to make that effort, the relationship continues to grow rather than fade. Intentional effort also involves paying attention to important moments in each other's lives. Remembering a birthday, congratulating a friend on an achievement, or reaching out during a difficult period demonstrates genuine care. These gestures show that the friendship is not limited to occasional conversations. It remains present in the background of each person's life, ready to offer encouragement or support when needed. Another part of investing time and attention in friendships is listening with genuine interest. When conversations do happen, strong friends focus on understanding what the other person is experiencing. They ask thoughtful questions, share honest responses, and allow the discussion to develop naturally. This attention creates a sense of connection that goes beyond simply exchanging updates. It reinforces the idea that the friendship is a place where both people can be heard and valued. Effort in friendship also means being willing to adjust as life circumstances change. People grow, move, change careers, and face new challenges over time. These changes can alter how often friends see each other or how they communicate. Maintaining the relationship requires flexibility and understanding. Instead of expecting the friendship to remain exactly as it once was, both individuals adapt while continuing to invest in the connection. One of the most meaningful aspects of intentional effort is that it reflects choice. Adult friendships are not maintained by obligation or routine alone. They continue because both people decide that the relationship matters enough to protect. Each message sent, each visit planned, and each moment of support offered becomes a quiet reminder that the friendship still holds value. When only one person consistently invests effort, the connection can begin to feel unbalanced. Over time, that imbalance may lead to distance or frustration. Strong friendships avoid this by maintaining a sense of mutual participation. Both individuals contribute to keeping the relationship alive. They recognize that friendships thrive when attention flows in both directions. Intentional effort also deepens the emotional strength of a friendship. When people consistently show that they care enough to stay connected, trust begins to grow. Each action reinforces the idea that the relationship is reliable and meaningful. This sense of reliability makes the friendship more resilient during periods of distance or challenge. As adulthood continues to introduce new responsibilities and changing priorities, the friendships that last are rarely the ones left to chance. They are the relationships that both people continue to nurture with thoughtful actions and consistent attention. By choosing to invest time, energy, and presence, friends create a bond that remains strong even as life becomes more complex and demanding.